Grand rising, grand rising, grand rising, beloveds. The sacred covenant, the sacred covenant of life. I've been up since about, I've been up for a couple of hours now. As I told you, sometimes the succubus will come in my dreams and God will awaken me in order to go into prayer or meditation so that I don't pick up on that spirit. You know, a lot of us don't realize that we have spirits living in us that are not healthy. And we have unhealthy spirits always trying to attack our immunity to life. A lot of people don't understand and they will not get this, that all of life is taking place in this kingdom. And the first root in where attacks can come at us is in our sleep. That's why we pray before we go to bed. We ask God. I just ask God for the greater good of life. That's all I ask God for. I don't ask God for nothing else. I don't ask Him for money. I don't ask Him for anything. The greater good of life, because at the very beginning and at the very infinite, eternal, immortal being, it's only just life, and each and every one, even the unhealthy lives and the beautiful lives and the sacred lives and the evil lives, all of the lives that we have conjured up in this world, that we all have conformed into flesh, and the word became flesh, and no one can deny this. There will be a lot of people who stand by it as long as somebody doesn't come and say the truth on it. But we all know truth. This is why Jesus said the truth will set us free, because a lot of you guys don't realize that life is all about this kingdom, that sacred covenant. We have a sacred covenant with life, each and every one of us, and we are a sacred being. Remember, in the human being, the being is a sacred covenant called life. And that part of us is perfect, it's righteous, it's humble, it's agape, and it is immunity to all other bodies of life. That part of us represents the wholeness. That part of us represents the greater good of life. And when that part of us is obsolete, and this is what I kept hearing when I meditate with life, I keep hearing no obsolete programs. Because what purpose are obsolete programs? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Spirit. What program are obsolete programs honoring for life? I came to give you life. A lot of people don't understand that this whole realm, this is the highest realm, and this realm is called life. We're in the realm of life. We're not in the realm of purgatory. We're not in the realm of all these other understandings. In this one, we are in the realm of life. And what purpose does life have when it is obsolete to its own sacred covenant? It's like, what is the purpose of any of this? We've made a mockery. We've made a blasphemy. We made a living curse. We made a satanic cesspool. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much, Spirit, of life. And it's just not worthy of itself anymore. It's just not worthy. What are we doing with this beautiful, sacred knowledge, this beautiful, sacred being, this beautiful, sacred agape, infinite intelligence, beloveds? When I just look on the social media And I just see all this shenanigans. It's just like shenanigans. And most people will say, well, you got to speak highly on it. But what I see is the people that we are following. These are the people that we are following. These, thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you, thank you. Spirit is like, these are people that we trust. These are people that we honor. These are people that we respect. And many people will, got to be careful about how I deliver this message today, because I'm in a sacred space, and I want to make sure that this message does not come off as judgment, because judge ye not unless you want to be judged. The truth is the truth, and the truth tells its own testimony to life. See, the thing about life is an equality to itself. Remember, in our mother's womb, we all came in the same image and the same likeliness. No one can fragment, denominalize, segregate, or separate something that is equally yoked to itself. You know, life is itself. It does not belong to an individual. It belongs to life. And we are all colonized from it. That's what a colony is. A colony is it's a one body that separates itself to grow. It's like the mother has the baby, and then the baby has another baby, and then that baby has another baby. It's a colony of, it's a nation of existence. That's what life is. Life is supposed to evolve itself to the point where it takes life, which is evolution. It's this intelligence that is so perfect, that is so righteous, that is so humble, that is so agape, that it would create something living. Something living. And what we have created over this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spirit consciousness is death, sickness, hate, injustice, fear. And see, this is not something that is like, if we can create schools to teach people how to live life, if we can create religions to teach people how to live life, if we can create anything how to teach people to live life, and we live inside of life itself, you have to see that we have done something wrong. You have to see that we have done something wrong, that we have broke our covenant. And when I hear life say no obsolete programs, like, I have no authority over life. None of us have no authority over life. We've broken the very covenant. Now we are thieves who come to kill, steal, and destroy our own right to life. And we don't see this. We're like blinded by our own sickness. And when I say sickness, the only thing that, it's like right in our face, beloveds. You're living inside of a living kingdom and it dies. You're living inside of a genetic makeup called life and it gets sick. You're living inside of a intelligence called a mind, a sacred covenant with life itself. This is why it said, stay renewed in my mind. Your mind is a sacred covenant with life. And it said, guard your heart. Through the well springs of life flow. Your heart is a sacred covenant with life itself. Those two beautiful testaments, they are sacred. And they are what tells this intelligence. They are what keeps this intelligence evolving. They are what keeps this intelligence creating bodies after bodies. But when we have an intelligence that is obsolete, which is what I call AI, these are your words. I don't know how else to explain this, but than to say it's the devil. But that offends many people because even though they introduce us to the devil, they don't want to hear the truth about what they created with that insanity. And the word becomes flesh, beloveds. Everything that we do is a covenant. Ask and it shall be given. Ask and it shall be given. That is what a covenant is. It's a covenant when you can ask anything to life and life will give it to you. But not realizing that life is just one in itself. That's why in the Bible it states, I and my Father are one. We are a elemental kingdom, which means we are a living law. And that living law is one in itself to protect itself from anything like the red blood cell, which is the adversary, the antibody, or the antichrist. In this kingdom, as far as the heart is concerned, it's the antibody in the blood. In the mind, it is the antichrist. And in the flesh, it is the adversary or the devil or Satan or whatever you guys, Lucifer. So when we don't operate, this is why in the Bible it says, do not honor flesh, but honor the spirit. Because in the spirit, we come back to our covenant. As long as we are in the spirit of life, I came to give you life. That's it. We don't have to. The minute we take this mind, this is what conformity does. When we conform ourselves to conformity, which means that when we became race, no, I want to use age. When we became age, what we did is we numbered our days. And when we let time govern us, the minute we let time govern us, we limited our infinite existence. So everything that we do is a covenant. Life is only eternal, immortal being if we stay present in our sacred covenant with life. And there are so many people right now forcing us through fear tactics, through enslavement, through poverty. You guys think that poverty, thank you, Spirit, thank you so much, thank you. You guys think that poverty is something that somebody chooses. It's not something that somebody chooses. Because if you understood that we are all born life, which makes us equal to what we would call wealth, is called dominion. God gave us dominion over wealth. God gave us dominion over the natural source of life. We have dominion over the natural source of life, beloveds. So there should be no such thing as poverty. So you automatically know that poverty is created. It's man-made. And that means that someone is forcing life to be povertized. Life cannot be povertized by itself. Life cannot be evil by itself. Life cannot be sick by itself. It has to be man-made. Man has to make that sickness. And how it makes it is by breaking covenant. The minute we don't accept life, life gives us death. Surely, if you eat from another knowledge, surely if you eat from another knowledge other than the one that I created you from, I created you from the very foundation, the very structure, the very entity, the very formation, the very existence of life. And that covenant is between me and you. And not only did I give you a covenant with it, I made your heart its wellspring. I made your mind its directive. So I made you not only a living truth, I made you a living testament to a living God. And I gave you the same image and the same likeness, and I made your covenant with this beautiful testament, elemental, so that you would always know the truth, and that the truth would always set you free. See, a lot of people, it's like, if you don't honor the truth, this is what you are. You just numbered days. Your lethal weapons to life. And this is the truth. And no one can deny this. Not a doctor, not a scientist, not a teacher, not a biologist, not a PhD, not a degree, not a piece of paper, not a pastor, not a ordained minister. No one can deny life. Life is its own living truth, and it needs no understanding. It is its own living God. We serve a living God. I mean, this God, it moves mountains. It creates mountains. It makes the flow of water. It breathes for us every day. This living God ensures a natural source for us that man has literally said to this living God, fuck off, and allowed us to wage war with a living God. Man has allowed us, thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much, Spirit. Human has allowed us to wage war with a living God. Wage war. Turned us into a lethal weapon. Do you know what a lethal weapon is? Death. Human has turned us into a sinful transgression, and we are not worthy of life. And how do we know this story, beloveds? How do we know this truth? All we have to do is come back into our covenant. How many of us operate from our heart? How many of us operate from our mind? Where do you get your understanding from? Do you know that your mind is a covenant? It's a book of life. It's called consciousness, which means that it needs no understanding. You don't need to go to first grade. You don't need to go to second grade. You don't need to go to third grade. That is man's knowledge. Man's knowledge. Surely if you eat from the tree of that good and evil, you will die by it. Man's knowledge is lethal inside of this kingdom. Man's knowledge, and this is going to, thank you, Spirit, this is going to offend many people because they are so afraid of man. You're so afraid of man, but you waging war. Man is a poltergeist. Like right now I want to cry. I literally want to cry because it's a sickness. It's a sickness that is so unworthy of us. And we give this love, we give this immunity, we give this agape communion and this agape sacred communion over to people of greed, lust, hate. I mean, they would not honor life if life begged them to, beloveds. They would not honor life if life begged them to, because life is very, very easy. Life is very easy, beloveds. We live inside of his kingdom. And all it asks of us is stand still and know that I am God. That's all it ever asked of us. It never asked us to go to school. It never asked us to get degrees. It never asked us to live off of money. It never asked us to live off of poisons, to eat off of poisons. It never asked us any of those things. Life never asked us to do anything in that world. The kingdom of heaven lives within. And we have a Trinity called truth to prove this to us. And yet, human will allow us to wage war against a living law. They will allow us to fight against a living law, one that we will never be able to win. And then they will scare us with punishment, which is double jeopardy, because now they are punishing us. A poltergeist is punishing us, that we can just say no more and call on God, our higher source called life, and life would take care of them, which is, I've already told you, this is why our days are numbered. Life is already taking care of them, but it shouldn't have. We shouldn't have had to come to this point, beloveds. We never should have had to come to this point in our evolution to where we would just allow the greed and the lust and all that has happened to us, and we just yes sir, yes sir master. We sacrifice something so sacred, something so beautiful, something so loving to something that knows better. It knows better. You want to know why? Because at the age of 5, I knew better. This is why I say you got to have that childlike spirit. I knew better. And even on this day, when I want to do things of that world, I make a conscious choice. I make a conscious choice. Why? Because I have a covenant with life. Human didn't bring me here. Life brought me here. Human does not get my body well. Life does. Human does not correct the post-traumatic stress that the world has done to me. Life does. Human cannot do anything or add anything onto me. Human povertizes me for wanting to be righteous. Human hates me for wanting to be my own self-love, my own self-dignity, my own self-respect, my own self-value, my own self-asset. Human is deadly. Every day it teaches me to break my covenant with life by placing me in outwardly understandings, and I live inside of this kingdom. Human, or what the Bible calls man, is not. It says, who knows the heart is wicked? I hardened Pharaoh's heart because Pharaoh, I gave him that covenant and he enslaved my people with it. And this is why our days are numbered. This is why we get sick. This is why we have to age. This is why we cannot live from our eternal, immortal covenant with life. Is because we have broke our sacred covenant to live up to gods, which are poltergeists, to live up to idols and statues, which are not living, and to live up to false prophets who take our minds and sell our souls for a false prophet. And then they tell us things like the devil did it. No, there's no such thing as the devil in life. There's no such thing as sickness in life. There's no such thing as mental health in life. There's no such thing as anything outwardly in life. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of life, it lives within this body. And you have a sacred covenant. Guard your heart through the well springs. I'm telling you, your well springs of life live inside of your heart. That's where your very sacred covenant is. That's where, when you want to understand love, which is immunity to this body, that's what feeds this body. It is the heart that feeds this body. And the mind is the teacher. It teaches every cell in your body to do what the angel God sent before you will be walking in your footsteps. That mural my grandmother had on her wall explained this beautiful testament. That's how I understand it. But I also understand it because of my internal nature, because of my internal nature is truth. It's living truth. We serve a living God. We have a sacred covenant with life, and that life would go to the very beautiful covenant of protecting life so beautifully that it would not let anything that was not living touch life. It wouldn't let it touch you. Though I may walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Who do you think was saying that in those scriptures? In all those scriptures in that Bible, that was life. Those were testaments of life, explaining to you all life. How you guys have all broken the sacred covenant with life. Each and every one of those prophets are testaments. They were life. They were the seed. They were the genetic makeup that held on to their sacred covenant. You have to remember that each and every one of us, all we are is a seed of life. Every time each and every one of us comes into this earth, we're coming already predestined seeds. And this is why he said, I gave Pharaoh that authority to govern my people, and he enslaved them. So when you see anybody of that world doing this to life, you have to understand that they are representing Pharaoh, meaning that I gave this life. Pharaoh is no different than any other form of life, just like Jesus is no different than any form of life. We are all in the same image and the same likeliness. We are all held equal to the same substance until we individualize ourselves or denominalize ourselves or fragment ourselves or segregate ourselves or separate ourselves from life. Then we, as life, break our covenant. And once we break our covenant, what does life do to us? It's an eye for an eye. Humans are waging war against a living God. You got us fighting a battle that is not ours. And now every time, like right now, I wanted to cry. I want to cry because it's so sad that we give over our love. We give over our respect. We give over this sacred immunity to people who take it and they make us wage war against our own health, our own renewed mind, our own immunity to life, knowing that we will never win. When we get sick, that is God coming against us, beloveds. That's not the devil. We living in the living kingdom, and we telling this living kingdom every day to fuck off. Fuck you. My world is my God. My money is my God. My schools is my God. My degree is my God. My religion is my God. My paperwork is my God. And how I showed you guys the other day how 78,000 people signed a spiritual covenant with that man to deny their own free will to life. Human is not a living testament to life. Life is waging war with humans, beloveds. I don't know how else to tell you this. That is God. Did you not hear? And see, what human does is humans, they don't want you to see this because they cannot control your spirit. As long as they got your soul afraid of them, which is just a poltergeist, you can call on God at any time. Do you know how I got through this valley, walking through the valley of the shadow of death, being who I was? Do you know that I was known since I was a kid? I didn't have that hard life for no reason. I had that hard life because everybody knew who I was but me. This is why I hurt. I don't hurt because I'm angry. I don't hurt because I'm sad. I don't hurt because I got mental health issues. I don't hurt because I'm depressed. I hurt because I am sacred to life. I am a covenant with life. And that abuse that I had to suffer all my life, it wasn't worthy of me. Standing alone all my life when I carried this beautiful gift of life. And to have people deny me my right of it. And I earned it. I earned that right. And to have somebody deny me of it, manipulate me from it, use me for it, abuse me, lie to me, povertize me, hate me, molest me, do all the things that I had to go through, and still make me feel as though I was the problem. And I wasn't. This is why I do this. Because no one, and I mean no one, is worthy of this. When you refuse love, when you refuse life, when you refuse your sacred immunity, and you deny somebody of that right which they earned. You know, in my mother's womb, I was chosen for the very right to represent life. That was something that I earned from life. And humanity. God have mercy over my soul. Because what you guys do every day is not worthy of life. It carries no immunity to anything. It wages war against health. It wages war against love. It wages war against infinity and beyond. It wages war against our covenant with natural resources, with an intelligence that will never create anything to form a weapon against us. And is no longer worthy of life. Every day, even in my weakness, in my sadness, in what you all put me through, I still make a conscious choice to choose life broken by the hands of my own life itself, cursed by judgment, fighting a battle that was never mine to fight, and denied my living right by people who choose not to live. And you get to understand your covenant is sacred. It's something that no one in that world could ever take from you, because you belong. You belong. You belong to life. Which we all do. But you guys make every day a conscious choice to sacrifice it to the people of that world. If nobody has told you this today, that sacred covenant is something that would heal the world from all the transgressions that they have ever waged against life. That covenant is a curse breaker. And you would pretend that it did not even exist. If nobody has told you this today, beloveds, love and immunity.